We have a very special guest today and a good friend of mine, a brother priest. Father Christos Christakis is with us from Buffalo, New York. Let me tell you just briefly who Father Christos is. He is not only the pastor there at Annuniciation, but he's also serving as the secretary of the International Commission of the Anglican Orthodox Theological Dialogue since 1994. He is also an adjunct professor at Canisius. Did I pronounce that correct, Father?
Yes.
Canisius College in Buffalo, where he teaches both history and theology of the Orthodox Church. Father Christo, welcome. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Good to see you, Father Chris.
You know, with the recent escalation of violence, when it began, of course, you were in Israel to attend the International Commission for the Anglican Orthodox Theological Dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Before we discuss the main issue at hand, can you explain what that dialogue is? What's that all about?
Yes, of course. Well, this is one of the bilateral dialogues that our church, the Orthodox Church as a whole, is doing with other communions. So it's international official dialogue, which means the Orthodox churches, the Orthodox patriarchates and the autocephalous churches appoint delegates to this commission. So it's an international commission. The Orthodox Church has these international bilateral dialogues with the Roman Catholic Church, with the Anglican Church, with the Lutheran Church, with the major Christian communions, as an effort, of course, to dialogue. Dialogue is good. You know, it doesn't mean we we betray our faith or we compromise anything. Sometimes there's misunderstandings there, but it is because it's official. As I said, every church has a delegate, so it is an official dialogue. I am the secretary of this on behalf of the Ecumenical Patriarchate, and we meet every year. 1 year we're hosted by an Orthodox church, and the other year we're hosted by an Anglican host, an Anglican church. So this year we were scheduled to meet from the 5th to the 12th of October in Jerusalem as host of the Anglican Church. The Anglican Church has a center in Jerusalem, St. George's Center, College and Center, and they were our hosts this year. That's why that was the plan. The plan was to be from the 5th to the 12th of October in Jerusalem to continue the theological dialogue between our two churches.
Yeah, there seems to be a fear, I know, in many, I think, in the minds and the hearts of some Orthodox, that you shouldn't talk to other faiths because somehow you compromise. You don't compromise anything when you talk to someone. I mean, tell me if I'm right or I'm wrong here, Father.
Absolutely, yeah. There is sometimes a fear or an objection to those ecumenical dialogues, but you know, of course, we don't compromise anything. Actually, sometimes we're able to be challenged because some of the other communions have they have their own issues, and dialogue is good. I think it's challenging us to express our faith, to share it with them. And I can tell you, we have been influencing them, not influencing them in a sense of changing them or converting them or changing their churches radically, but to understand who we are. And I think that's good. That's a good thing to do. So we produce documents of agreement. There are certain things we agree, and there are certain things we don't agree. So we're not forced to agree on everything, but I think to keep a dialogue is always good.
Absolutely. Father, let's talk a minute about the state of the Christian community in Israel, Palestine, Orthodox, otherwise, from your recent experience. And what did you learn before the conference was cut short?
Well, what happened to us is this. As I said, we arrived in Jerusalem on October 5th, which was a Thursday. The following day, on Friday, we went to the Patriarchate, to the Greek Orthodox Patriarchate, and we met the Patriarch. And then Saturday, October 7th, was the day that we had scheduled to visit some of the holy sites.
Mm-hmm.
And on the Saturday, the 7th, we started with going to Mount Tabor. It was about 2 hours away from Jerusalem. But then what happened, Saturday was the day of the attacks. Everything started on that Saturday, October 7th. So um, we're told that we need to cut it short. We need to go back to our base. So that's the way it started for us, you know. And then for the rest of the days, we remain enclosed in our center there, very much affected by the situation, not so much in danger, because we're not in danger. Jerusalem is far from Gaza, so it's not like we're in immediate danger. There were a few times that we had to seek shelter. You know, in Jerusalem, most of the buildings have shelters,
Right.
underground shelters.
I'm learning that now. I didn't know that before.
Yes, and we had to, you know, there were sirens, and we had to go to shelter. But overall, we were not in the middle of the conflict, you know. But of course, we were affected by it because we lived in that environment, right? And here we are. We were there, representatives of two churches to discuss dialogue, right? Which is an irony, you know. We were there for dialogue and reconciliation and understanding, and we found ourselves in the middle of conflict, right? So that's what happened to us there.
Okay. Let me ask you this. So you had to leave prematurely then?
Yes, we left only one day prematurely because we couldn't really leave immediately anyway, because after the conflict started, immediately many major airlines canceled the flights. So there was a limited ways to leave. So we decided we're going to stay put, finish some of our work that we were there for. In the meantime, of course, though, it was a very unusual situation because everybody was very nervous to figure out ways to figure how to live, right? How to find a way, because there was a complicated situation. Some people had to drive to Amman, to Jordan, Amman, and but our whole meeting was you know, under this kind of tension and understanding that the war is going on. Now, you asked me about the Christian community there, and I wanted to say a couple of things about that. You know, we know that, and it's interesting, we're hosted by the Anglican Church in Jerusalem, who are locals. You know, they are local Palestinian Anglican people of the Anglican faith. They are not as many as the Greek Orthodox. They're a minority compared to us. But also we met in the Patriarchate, and we met our local presence there. So we know that in the Holy Land there are many Christians, right? And we need to remember them because they are in the middle of this conflict. Most of the Orthodox Christians in the Holy Land are Palestinian. They're of a Palestinian descent. But of course, they don't embrace the methodology and you know, Hamas. They are not people of violence. They are not people. They are not terrorists. They are simple people and families and youth and elderly who they are the locals, right? The locals who lived in this country for millennia, so to speak, you know. So we felt for them, you know, because as I said, most of us were nervous of how to leave and go back home, and we didn't have flights. But we knew we'll go home. But they remained there, right? Yeah. They remained there. They did not leave, especially the bishops and the clergy and the faithful, you know. The majority remained there in the midst of this situation. So although we're inconvenienced, so to speak, we were inconvenienced. This is nothing compared to what they are going through.
Yeah.
So we need to remember that.
That's true. That's true. We may have touched on this, but the local leaders there in Jerusalem, what have you learned from them about the escalating situation in the area that might give more context?
Yes,
what we're seeing now.
Right. I think they try to give a message of peace, a message of reconciliation. I know that we saw the Patriarch the day before the conflict started, but also we had a chance to serve the liturgy in Golgotha, in the Church of Golgotha, in the Holy Sepulchre on Tuesday, October 10th, which already was in the midst of the conflict. And right there, I saw, the patriarchate and the clergy, although knowing the serious situation that's evolving, that they were also, in a sense, calm. They were telling us, we've seen this before. Of course, this time is quite serious, as we know, very extreme. But they are hopeful, and the only thing they can do is pray for peace, pray for the people, pray for the innocent people, and make a plea for reconciliation and for ways of finding dialogue in that land. It's a very difficult situation, but as I said, the spiritual leaders are there, and they're not leaving the country, and they're there with their faithful to almost, of course, as a Christian witness, because that's their land, they've been there, but also in order to, in a sense, to offer an alternative between the extremes that there are there, because there are extremes, but other people are not, are there a faithful and peaceful presence in the Holy Land.
That's beautiful. Well, we pray that his beatitude and the bishops and the priests remain strong. Our prayers obviously are with them. Having visited them, I totally agree with you that they have a tremendous amount of faith. As you know, probably better than I, that our most potent weapon, missile, if you will, is prayer. And when we have our joint prayer together, we can do many, many things, Patrick.
Yes.
Let me ask you one final question, and thank you for being with us today. Military activity in Gaza has now escalated significantly, leading to thousands of deaths and injuries, causing some long-term destruction of critical infrastructure. You can see parts of Gaza are completely obliterated. Many in the West are feeling helpless. We see now events that are going on college campuses. In your perspective, is there anything that we can do as a church at this point to offer meaningful help to those who are being harmed and promote that path forward, that reconciliation that you spoke well of?
Yes, I think you're right. We see all of these things happening, and we see them here in America now, demonstrations and all the kinds of expressions of support here and there. I think what we can do, we have a unique role, I think, as Greek Orthodox, as Orthodox Christians, because we have a connection with that land, right? We have a connection. It's not a foreign land for us. Yes, there is a conflict there, but we can offer a message of reconciliation and peace. We need to avoid the extremes, and we need to remind everyone of the innocent, simple people who live in this land and who want to live peacefully. So avoid some of the extremes, learn some of the history of the land, because we are connected with this history. Our history, our own history, and our faith is based in this land. That there are faithful, peaceful Christians who live in that land, and they have the right to be there. Condemn any violence, right, from wherever it comes from. And as you said a minute ago, pray for this tool in our services, in our liturgies, to pray for and to be always feel close to them, not ignore this conflict. It is a very difficult conflict, but we need also to remember all of them in our prayers.
Father Christos Christakis, thank you very much for being with us today. Welcome home. We're very, very pleased that you're home safe, and we'll continue in our prayers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.